Welcome to The Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with your host, Charlie Butler. This is where you'll learn to sell your home quickly and for more money. And now, the host of The Real Estate Show, the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler.
Good morning, Tri-State. And this is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. And I am Charlie Butler, and we're here with Evie Barr from Waterstone Mortgage.
Happy Sunday, Charlie. How are you?
I'm doing great, Evie. How's the world treating you today?
It's great. It's Sunday. The elections are over. I'm ready for some football.
All right. And it should be a lot of good games today.
Always.
Yeah. Evie and I we're going to have Stan Brown from Above and Beyond Inspections here shortly. We're going to talk about home inspections today, but Evie and I were just talking off the air, and Evie, people, we get people coming in to get to buy a home, and sometimes, and you see this too, they've got great credit, but they just don't have a lot of money down. And by the time they pay their closing costs sometimes and other things, they just don't have enough. They either got to sacrifice the down payment or sacrifice the closing costs. And we haven't found too many ways for them to sacrifice the closing costs yet. Because Stan wants to get paid, So
yes,
we haven't figured out a way not to pay him yet. So, but you've got some ways at Waterstone where maybe you can work on the down payment with him, don't you?
Definitely. We have 3 programs right off the top of my head that offer no down payment. The first one would be a VA loan, which would require, of course, you be a veteran and have your certificate of eligibility from the VA, so you can do the VA financing. The next option would be the USDA Rural Development Loan. And with the USDA loan, no money down, but only certain areas are eligible for that. So it kind of...
When you say that, Evie, and I know we get... That's a question we get a lot.
Yes.
Okay? If I recall, in Vandenberg County, that area is really, really small, isn't it?
That is correct. On the northern side of town...
North of Boonville, New Harmony, I think.
I think it's either Hillsdale or Boonville, New Harmony Road. North of that is eligible. And then on the far west side, Big Cynthiana Road is usually kind of my marker for that. But the great thing is the USDA has a map that you can go in, input the address of the property, and it will tell you whether or not the property is eligible.
Where can people go to get that map?
Google the USDA property eligibility, and it should pop up right away. You have to do an accept, but then all you do is type in the exact address, and it will tell you whether or not the property is eligible. In the Warwick County area, Newburgh is ineligible, but Chandler, Boonville, Linville, Elberfeld, those areas are eligible. What it is the USDA, it's a rural development loan. So they want it in rural areas. So it's whether or not a property is eligible is based on the population density of that area.
Right.
That's the determining factor.
I remember several years ago when Newburgh was eligible, and we... that was neat because even homes right in those big subdivisions in Newburgh we could do. So,
yes, and everybody loved that. But the USDA took that area out a few years ago, and the maps are always changing. So even though north of Boonville, New Harmony Road has been eligible, I don't think it's ineligible right now. But it's always good to double check the map whenever somebody is looking. The great thing about the USDA and the VA loans, other than them being no down payment, is the closing costs. The seller can pay up to 6% of the purchase price towards the closing cost, which that can help out a buyer who maybe doesn't have money for a down payment or can't cover all of the closing costs themselves.
So how if I don't have a lot for a down payment, or I've got good credit, but I don't have a lot of money.
Yes.
How much is? I know a lot of people. Maybe that 6%. How close is that going to get? How much of that closing cost is that probably going to pay a month?
Depending on the purchase price of the house, honestly, it should pay for pretty much all of it.
Okay.
Or a lot of it. Closing costs vary a little bit by what the purchase price is. Just because some fees adjust due to what the loan amount and purchase price is.
I have another question and that we get, okay?
Yes.
And I've heard this for years, and Evie and I have not talked about this one, so I'm gonna hit it with her cold and see what she says. I know she loves these, but the VA.
Yes.
As you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't do VA because they say, "Oh, it's just too hard. It's too hard to do." And I think there was a time several years ago when it was more difficult to do.
Yes.
But I don't see that from the realtor side.
I don't feel like it's a difficult loan to complete either.
But I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I have been in banking atmospheres where the lenders think it's very, very difficult to do any type of government loan. At Waterstone Mortgage, I've probably done just as many government loans as what I've done conventional loans. Before I was at Waterstone, I really didn't do government loans at all. And all of the government loans seem to flow just as easily as what a conventional mortgage does. So if someone's financing USDA, VA, FHA, those loans are just as easy for me to do as what would be to do the more conventional loan. There are different appraisal requirements is usually where the hangups might happen. But still, we can generally get a VA loan closed within 30 days, give or take. On the USDA loans, we asked to allow us some additional time because even though our underwriter underwrites the loan, we are still required to forward those files onto the USDA to be underwritten as well before we can give a final approval.
And so I guess what we're saying here is those of you that have got relatives that are telling you don't go FHA or don't go VA, it's so hard. That was a long time ago,
right?
That it's among the easier loans to do today.
Yes,
and Evie was mentioning the USDA map earlier. Call Evie or call the Charlie Butler team. Either one, if you're unsure whether you're looking at a property or you want to know, call us at. Call one of our buyer specialists at 812-430-1708. They'll be glad to help you determine what is and what is not eligible. And they'll get you with Evie, and Evie can, you can kind of go through with what program is going to be best. It's tailored for that person.
Yes, definitely. And no matter what lending scenario you are looking at, I had someone this past week that called me and they said, "Hey, we're wanting to put up a pole barn on our property. We don't know whether we should totally refinance our mortgage and take cash out that way, or if we should do a line of credit and use it to build the pole barn." And we can just look at all scenarios and see what best fits their needs.
That's great. And so, Evie, how can they get in touch with you?
They can call me at 812-463-3199, or they can email me at ebar@waterstonemortgage.com. One other quick program that we have, because I had said we had 3 no down payment programs off the top of my head. The other one is our Wealth Builder program.
Yes.
And the great thing about the Wealth Builder is it's no money down, and you do not have to be a veteran. There are no geographic restrictions to it. So for more information on that, people can definitely give me a call and talk about it.
And if you currently own a home, you're going to get with Evie to either go up or go down, you need to sell your home. The Charlie Butler team's there for you. If we can't sell your home, we'll buy it. So call us for more details on that. In fact, I think we got Jamie Keller on next week that's going to be telling us a lot more about that. But call me in the meantime, or call one of my direct number is 812-499-7758. And our listing agents, you can reach Jamie Keller or Deanna Herm at 812-449-0050. But we've got a special guest today.
Yes, we do.
And probably one of the home inspections are probably one of the more misunderstood parts of the whole real estate transaction, I think, sometimes. And so we wanted to bring Stan Brown in today from Above and Beyond Inspections. Stan, how's it going today?
Doing very well. How you doing today, Charlie? How you doing, Evie?
I'm doing great, Stan.
And Stan, gosh, maybe I might as well put, nobody ever, first off, before I say it, let's just start. What do we've got a lender, we got a realtor, we've got an appraiser, we've got a home inspector. What is your role in this process as the home inspector, Stan?
My role is to work primarily for the buyer in the transaction. Sometimes I can work for the seller if we're doing what they call a pre-inspection, when you're getting ready to put your home on the market for sale. But if you've purchased a home, you've had an accepted purchase agreement, the next step in that, at that point, would be to determine, do we want to have a home inspection? The home inspection itself is a way that you have a better feel what's going on in a home. In today's market, you may see 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 homes. The home you finally look at and choose, you may have only been in a very limited amount of time. You haven't had a chance to really get into the meat and potatoes of the home. That's my job. I'm there to help you understand the aspects of the home with regard to any material defects, safety items, neglected maintenance in the home, so that you can make a better informed decision on how you want to move forward in the transaction.
Stan, there, and as being a realtor for as long as I have been and doing over 3,000 transactions, there's times I'll see a home inspection report, and if I make you home inspectors mad by saying this, I'm just, and I'll just say, well, might as well burn the house down, after the way it reads. And I think but then after I'll hear you explain it, it's really not that bad. I mean, I know you guys have got a certain format you follow, and you're working for the buyer, so you need to list everything. And sometimes it's really thick, but a lot of that stuff are things that may not be a big deal in some cases.
Well, define the word "big deal." That's the situation.
Well, I guess where I'm going with that is, as you know, there's times that there may be a lot of items in there, and some of them are, and it looks like, oh my God, there's a lot here. Mm-hmm. But many of these may be minor items that the buyer says, well, this is no big deal. I can live with this.
Some of those are that way.
Yeah.
All the items typically need to be addressed. The question is putting them in an order of importance to address them, and how you wish to address them between you, the buyer, and the seller. That's the continuation of the negotiation. Anything that's in a report are going to be items that are flagged of things that need to be addressed, whether it's electrical items or plumbing items or foundation items or anything with regard to that. What we try to do is explain to the best of our ability that, most, not all, most items can be addressed. Sometimes they're more expensive, sometimes they're less expensive to deal with. But trying to put them in a logical format so you can understand that these are the items that need to be addressed, all of them on what we have in the report, and how do I get my hands around that, how to grasp that, based upon your purchase price and your needs and desires, maybe some of your unique abilities. Maybe, if there's a situation where you've got a small drip in a faucet, that's no big deal. I can deal with that myself. Okay?
Right. Well, and you're in no way trying to be. You work for the buyer. I mean, that's
yes.
we want to make that clear. But you're not out there to kill the deal for the buyer. You're not there to pick on the seller for anything. You're just trying to help the buyer make an informed decision. Is that a good
correct?
way?
Make an informed decision and get the information to the buyer that they need to make that informed decision, so they can get their handle around and grasp the whole picture of what's going on in the home. Again, if someone goes to buy a home, they put a purchase agreement together. They may have only been exposed to the home for a limited time. They may not have the skill set to understand all the things associated with the home, nor have they looked at some of the deferred maintenance items, some changes that have happened in the house that need to be addressed. And that's my job to put all that out in a report with pictures, descriptions, and some possible remedies or who to contact as far as trades to repair those items.
So I'm just going to, I mean, having, heard from buyers, just going to throw a few things out. And,
sure.
And from sellers too. Just how do you remedy when there's something that you find and the seller says, well, I think that's wrong. I think he's wrong on that. But if I'm, and this may not be always, but you usually in there recommend that they get a licensed contractor for that particular item.
Exactly. What a licensed contractor is going to provide you the ability to talk to them. They are specifically trained in their trade to deal with that situation, and in most cases, they should stand behind their work. If there's a problem, you can then go back to that contractor and say, "Look, this wasn't right or didn't turn out right. Why?" Okay.
Right. And that's a great point. But I wanted to back up for a second. You said something, we just barely touched on it, but something I know in a lot of markets around the country is becoming more and more popular, and that is sellers having pre-inspections done.
Correct.
And I think that this is a coming trend. I know in some markets it already is, and I think that's going to be a coming trend here because. And I'm sure, you see this more than anybody. I think we all would. I think it would be better for the seller, be better for the realtor, be better for the lender, and everybody involved if some of these things could be taken care of up front before the house ever goes on the market.
Sure, that's a great option. It's not always available to the seller to do that, but if they wish to do it, because it does cost some money up front, they can get a better handle of what are some of the aspects of this home that I'm going to possibly deal with. Again, we go back to, is the buyer of the home going to be acceptable with a small crack in the frame of a door, or is he going to not be? But our job in the pre-inspection is to try to get our hands around everything, sit down with the seller at that point and discuss, okay, these are the problems we see that will come out. Most any inspector is going to pull out. How do you wish to deal with this going forward before you get the home on the market?
If a seller has a pre-inspection done, do they make that part of the listing at that point in time?
If we're going to be 100% honest, it depends on how that pre-inspection turns out. Yeah,
sure.
If they should. Let's back up there. Yes, they should. Usually, if they have a pre-inspection done, they're going to correct.
Yes.
Some of the items. There may be some things that are uncovered that they're going to have to, that the seller will then have to disclose on the sales disclosure. Mm-hmm. And for those that don't know what we're talking about in Indiana, it's a federal law. There's a residential sales disclosure when you list a house, and you have to go down through there through basically 2 pages of questions and truthfully answer those and to the best of your knowledge. And whether you have a realtor, and this is something we always want to tell for sale by owners, be sure to do this because the fact you're a for sale by owner does not relieve you of that liability. And, that's something people hang their hat on in court sometimes. So you be sure you do that right. But they should make it available because they've had a licensed professional like Stan, in there. And, so yes, they should.
Do people normally have inspections done on new constructions?
Yes. People think that a new construction home, the builders just got it done, everything's perfect. Here's a situation, and I do a lot of inspections on brand new homes.
I apologize to my builder friends for what he's getting ready to say.
It's nothing wrong with the builders. The builders want to provide a product to the buyer because they have a reputation. In Indiana, they have requirements that they have to stand behind the structural integrity of that home.
The builder actually lives with that home for at least 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the situation is I can come in and possibly see something to help both the builder who's selling and the buyer. Let me give a quick example. Doing a home this year, nice home, had tile in the entryway, the kitchen, and the laundry room. The laundry room actually backed up to the master bathroom, master bathtub. Well, when they were doing the home, they built the framing, put the flooring down. Then the plumbers come in and do some additional rough plumbing to get ready to mount the fixtures and the bathtubs. In this particular case, the plumber came in and cut a notch, and there's certain requirements that we go through when we evaluate. Is that notch in an allowable spot? Is it an unallowable spot?
Okay, Stan, what's a notch for?
A notch. Okay, if you have a floor joist, and let's say I have a pipe that goes around that floor joist. If it's in an inconvenient spot, and we have to put this bathtub right here in this spot, then the plumbers will go in and have to cut part of that out to get that drain to fit. Now, if that happens, in most cases, you can refortify the area to enhance the structural integrity of that floor joist. Since this one particular case, the bathtub butted up against the tile floor in the laundry room, and in the laundry room you have what? You have a washer and a dryer. You have water in that washing machine, a lot of weight on that tile. In this case, since they cut that floor joist out, that weakened that joist, it could then possibly crack and bust those tiles. And I've seen that going back in years later. Whereas when I went in, I was able to find that. The builder got with their subcontractor who did the work. They came in, refortified it. Now they've averted a problem.
Right. So, yeah, I've talked to home inspectors that there are times there are more items on a new construction than there are on some existing construction.
They can. Things get missed. They're more incomplete many times. Now this case scenario, this was the defect. Many times they're incomplete. Maybe something's not caulked. Maybe they didn't get the ceiling down a certain way, or some trim's not done, or what have you. But that's my job, to go and look and check. Is it all done right?
So Evie, and I know it depends on the bank, and I'm not sure. I'm asking one of these questions, so I like to ask it. I have no idea.
Put me on the spot.
Okay? A lot of the lenders, what the home inspector says is important to them. Depending on the type of loan.
As a lender,
yes,
in any bank that I've ever worked at, I've always said, I don't want to see the home inspection, because if I see the home inspection, then I'm required to disclose what's on that to my underwriter. So
that's what we're getting more of now with certain banks. And I'm not talking about Waterstone here, but certain banks are saying, we want to see the home inspection. The underwriters are saying they want to see the home inspection.
Right. I've never worked for a bank that's asked for the home inspection. And I've had people who have gone to tell me what's on their home inspection. I always say, don't tell me, because I have to disclose it. So even if it was just a cracked light switch that got marked, which, the simplest of things, my underwriter would have the right to say that needs to be fixed. Where we usually get our information that something needs to be resolved with the house will be from the appraisal. If the appraiser points out that, there's a hole in the wall that needs to be fixed, then my underwriter will say we can't close until that's fixed. But as for the inspection reports, honestly, as a lender, I never asked for them, because I have to forward them on to my underwriter, who will pick them apart.
Right.
Now, I've ran into that recently a lot. I went through a class recently where I was the only home inspector there. Everyone else were appraisers.
Yes.
It was an appraiser update class on certain loans and their requirements. Again, underwriters can have variations based upon what their funding person is going to do. But I have a better feel, and I'm the first line of defense here. The appraiser comes in after me. The appraiser works for the financial institution. I come in, I understand a little bit more about that criteria. Not that those items are any more or less important that the appraiser may find, but what I find, I can say, look, this may be a situation where whatever you decide to do with repairs, this may be something that your underwriter and your appraiser are going to flag. Make sure you get these items addressed. That's where I've educated myself beyond the normal home inspection criteria.
Okay. But we were talking off air. You're besides home inspections, you also do, and this is something we sometimes have a hard time finding because we do. My team also has commercial division too, and find a good commercial inspector. But you do like commercial.
I do like commercial strip malls and multifamily housing because that's where my investments have been all my life. That's
how I first met Stan. He was an investor in several projects. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to bring up was Stan. How important is it? I've purchased a home, okay, and should I have you out before I have the appraiser out?
Yes, I believe so because you're going to have to be most likely, if I'm not mistaken, responsible for the cost of the appraiser once
that's exactly
it's there.
Right.
So if there's something that's going to slow down or change your buying of this home through the inspection process, which comes post purchase agreement, I need to be there first. And you need to be comfortable that you can move forward before, in my opinion, you engage the appraiser or have the bank who is having the appraiser come out, engage the appraiser to do the appraisal.
So let's just real quick. We got I think with 3 minutes, about 3 minutes left. Okay, Stan. I take somebody out, show them houses. They find a house, write an offer. We get it accepted. Evie has. She should have already pre-approved them. So
yes, they were pre-approved.
I was getting ready to say, no, I think they were going to pre-approve it. No, I don't do that because then I get my, that's what I tell people not to do. But anyway, they're pre-approved. So you're coming in now. Probably the next step, Evie's going to order home inspection. And so you're coming in.
I'll order the appraisal.
I'm sorry, you ordered the appraisal. Excuse me.
That's okay. Yeah. The buyer needs to call Stan.
So, as far as the process goes, we've got up to that point now. Where do you take over from here, Stan?
Again, I work for the buyer. The buyer is my client, not the realtor, not the bank, not the appraiser. My client is the buyer in this particular scenario. So I go in and we set an appointment to go in. We pick which particular items you want inspected in addition to a normal home inspection, which may be a radon inspection. It may be a termite inspection, what have you, because there may be a well inspection or septic if one's on site. Those can be added on. So we determine what inspection or inspections are needed. Then we go in, we do the inspection on site. It usually takes a few hours on site. Within a day or so, you'll get a large report with pictures, arrows, descriptions of what my findings are. Then you get back with your realtor, and you go over with them that next step.
You brought up a good point a minute ago. A lot of people, they'll sit down with us. We'll go over the home list of home inspectors with them, and a lot of people think that we need to just clarify this. As you just said, a home inspector doesn't work for the realtor.
No.
We're just trying to help them, assist them in picking somebody.
Yes.
We can't even tell them who,
Exactly.
We give them a list, of, so, I mean, I just want to make that clear that, you're working, as you just said, for the buyer.
Correct.
Realtor has nothing to do with that except help them facilitate that.
No, because the buyer pays me. Correct.
Exactly. Stan? Somebody wants a home inspection, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my cell phone is always open, 812-430-0377. Or you can find me on the internet, www.inspectorstan, that's inspectorstan.com. And all my information is there. Call me or if you're interested, and we can go from there.
We've used Stan a lot. He's done a great job. Stan Brown, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
And Evie, we're coming to the end here, so have a great week.
You do the same.
And just remember, call the Charlie Butler team, 499-7758. If we can't sell your home, we'll buy it, and we'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler. Join us every week at this time to find out how to sell your home quickly and for more money. For more information, email cbutler@kw.com or visit charliebutlerteam.com.